So moving on with the idea that we want, as much as is possible, we want all of our different classes and IDs, or our different various other page elements. We want those, I'm sure that by now you have noticed, you want those to be grouped as well as possible so that you're not, orphaning yourself of the opportunity to fix issues as they arise. When you were putting together your first few draft copies of your midterm, I'm sure what many of you finally started noticing was, hey, look, when all the onus is on me to have to create these web pages, the more organized I am, the more I keep similar items together, the more it is that in my CSS, I, actually create a flow that goes top to bottom, left to right. The more I do all of those things, the easier it is for me to go through to make substantive changes or to avoid making substantive mistakes. Now, the figure and the figure caption seen here on 252 in your text is another way for you as a developer to say, look, I want to create a logical entity whereby image and text move together, full stop. They move together. So, when you're using a fraction, so a percent, for your page, I want this image to maintain 30% of my page. I want this particular class to maintain 40% of the page. Well, what happens if you had text underneath that, right? So we would have things like you see here on 252 is the light, I think it's Lighthouse Bistro. The Lighthouse Bistro has an image of that lighthouse. Well, what happens if you want to move that image around based on the size of your device? Suddenly you've got some problems, right? If it says, copyright 2020 Lighthouse Bistro, whatever the case might be, that's not going to stay automatically bolted to the bottom of your image because we haven't given it a mechanism to do that. Well, here is a really nice built-in mechanism to be able to do that, and that's the idea of the figure. So if you think back, and I know this is going to be tough for some of us because I am one of these individuals who's like, I have taken everything I needed to know about an encyclopedia and I have ejected all of that. But in encyclopedias, you'll remember, potentially, that you would have a figure in there. So you would have a bunch of text, and then you would have essentially an image. And under that image would be an associated block of text. So there would be an image of a big bundle of cash, and underneath it, it would say, remember that only big bribes make good bribes when it comes to your grade point average. And that's the kind of figure that I'm in board. I like that kind of information in an encyclopedia. Now, the figure is the image and the caption is the associated bit of text that goes along with it. And in an encyclopedia, you don't have to worry about those pages getting bigger or smaller. And I mean like physically bigger or smaller, right? Because that encyclopedia is built to be a certain size. But when now we're looking at creating web pages that need to be displayed on desktops, tablets, and mobile devices, now we're starting to bake problems into that. What happens when that image needs to move based on the size of your device? What do we do with the associated text? Well, what a figure does, ordinarily I would do this on my iPad, but since I have to do this with the textbook on my iPad, I'm going to use the back of my phone because it's an adequate canvas for this. What we're saying is this whole phone would represent the figure and the figure caption because they can move around together. If we have an image, it's going to take up whatever the portion of the figure is that you want it to. And on the bottom would be a figure caption. So this way, if our image moves left or right for whatever reason. It's in a container that used to take 100% of the width of your page, but now because I'm on a tablet, that container should only take 50% of the width of my page, which means my image is going to have to get smaller, which means my text is going to have to get smaller. That is all managed for you by HTML, by CSS in the figure caption. So you can see the kinds of, selectors and properties and values that you can change here with the figure and figure caption. And really do not sleep on these as important tools in your arsenal when it comes to website design. They really are handy to have, especially now that all you have to do in order to ensure that image and text move together is block them together as figure and figure caption. And after that, you can change the width, the height, the percents, the pixels, anything else you would like for the website, the whole page that surrounds them, and it's automatically taken care of for you. So the figure and figure caption here on 252 and thereabouts are phenomenally important, and just get this little mention here in the chapter. So deal with it, I guess.